The dark side of trading is something that no one talks about, and it can be very problematic for a lot of people just getting into Forex. And it's something that, as I said, isn't really spoken about as much as maybe other things within the Forex space. So today I wanted to cover the dark side of Forex and some of the problems that a lot of people face that just never gets talked about. So obviously we see on Instagram, the lifestyle traders, the laptops by the beach, or the Lamborghinis, or being in Dubai, all that side of it. But in reality, Forex is just not like that. And especially when you're learning Forex, not so much after you kind of get it, but when you're learning it, it is severely underlooked in terms of what it's actually like to go through it. And I'm talking things like isolation, losing friends and family over it, the panic attacks, being, too far into something and feeling like you can't quit, or not knowing if you want to quit. There's loads of things that just kind of gets brushed under the rug in terms of what can be or what can happen to you when you're sort of learning this sort of stuff. Now, it doesn't mean obviously that everyone's going to experience that. That's not the case at all. But I reckon a lot more of people out there have experienced something like this than not. And so I wanted to keep talking about it. So as I said, you see, Lamborghinis, Dubai, trading on a beach, laptop, things like that. And that isn't the reality. And a lot of people, feel free to comment, by the way, if you want to, but a lot of people probably have very different journeys to what kind of gets put out there. So I remember having to, get through that 2-month losing streak that I've made a video on, and you're sat there and you just don't know what to do. It's like 3 a.m. and you don't know how to, make it work. If it's going to work, can you get there? And those are thoughts that I feel like a lot of people deal with, especially if they get into Forex for, the goal of, actually making it. And that's a real dark side of trading that no one talks about, the loneliness. Because unless you are a trader or you have other friends that are trading, no one else really understands what you're going through, what you're experiencing. And that can be really tricky. You have to take losses on your own and learn things on your own. And normally when you take a loss or something bad happens, you like to share it, right? Because a problem shared is a problem halved, as people like to say. And you can't do that with trading. You have to just do it all on your own and figure it out. And there is no right route. And that's the thing that makes it even harder, is there's no right path and there's no one to speak about. So it can get lonely and it can get desperate because you're, sat there at 2 a.m. backtesting and nothing's working. And I've been there many a time myself, and you just don't know how to get out of it. Now, alongside that kind of loneliness, you also have to manage the lifestyle side of trading, which is how I like to see it, where you have your trading life and you have your personal life. And unfortunately, your personal life can influence your trading life a lot of the time through sort of emotions and things like that. So you need to manage both sides of it. So what I mean by that is, staying disciplined with things like the gym or any sport that you do, maintaining relationships. Because, I've seen videos on YouTube where people have said that it's, overtaken their personal life, because you could lose a lot of money, have a really bad losing streak, lash out at someone, and, things like that happen. And this is all while you're learning, right? So you're not probably making money, or if anything, losing money doing and during this process. So that's going to be even harder. It's not like a normal job where you learn something and you're getting paid regardless. It's entirely dependent on how you perform in the markets, which is on how much money you make. And when I talk about, the dark side of trading, I talk about the loneliness and how it can influence your lifestyle. You also have to look at the loneliness as a bigger picture, right? Obviously, you have the physical loneliness of, being sat in your room for hours and hours, being locked in on the charts or back testing or watching videos. But you also have the loneliness of the fact it's a journey, right? It takes years and you're the only one on that journey. And if you're lucky enough to have someone else that's, learning, maybe a friend or a relative, then that's great, because you far reduce that learning journey and the loneliness that comes with it. But if you're on your own, you're going through this, you don't know where you're going, you don't know the route, you don't know how to get to the end destination, and it can feel very, very lonely. And it's a real sort of difficult thing to manage, especially if, as I said, it creeps into your lifestyle, which is why you need to keep them separate. As I said, you have a trading life and you have kind of the lifestyle side of things. You need to keep them separate, because if they blur, then one starts impacting the other. As I said, lifestyle can impact your trading side of things, and trading can impact your lifestyle. So you need to keep them separate. But as I said, going back to what I was saying with loneliness, you have the loneliness of being sat in the room at 3 a.m. after testing a whole year of a strategy that's failed or returned money. But you also have the loneliness of 5 years or so of maybe going through the markets, learning different things, failing, trying again, failing, with no one to talk about, because as I said, no one understands unless they're doing it as well. Now, obviously, there's other sides or other dark sides to trading. Things like getting scammed can happen, buying courses that, are from people that aren't, profitable, for example, or, giving people to, trade money for you, prop firms, and them just, blowing the account and keeping the money, or signals. There's loads of scams out there that you can lose further money from, right? So it's not just you losing and having unlucky sort of situations with trading, but also you can get scammed, and again, that's gonna make you feel more lonely, more isolated, because trading is an isolated thing, right? What are you doing? You're sat staring at a screen, staring at charts, trying to figure this thing out. You're not sat with anyone. It's not like school, or you're not out in public doing anything. You just have to sit in a room and learn, and that's very, very isolating, which again can reinforce that loneliness and make it harder to keep going. And that's why I truly think trading is one of the hardest careers you could ever try and go through, because of a multitude of reasons. As I said, you're not getting paid while you learn. There's no base salary. It's just dependent on how good you are. It takes years without any results sometimes. And it also comes with the psychological elements, as I said, of isolation, loneliness, and the urge to give up, I guess, because I feel like everyone's been there where they've wanted to quit. I definitely have, multiple times. But that's where it's going to separate the real traders and the people there for the right reasons, and the people that just got into it for no reason. So I don't think it's a bad thing that exists, because it does kind of filter out the people that are there for the right reasons. But the dark side of trading, and the side that I don't see many people talk about, is definitely something that can be impactful. So I really wanted to make this video today around that. As I said, let me know in the comments kind of what you've experienced, because I appreciate not everyone's going to experience every dark side of trading possible. Hopefully that isn't the case for you, but let me know what you have experienced. As I said, I've definitely been there, late at night with nothing working and just wanting to quit. That's something a lot of people probably have had, but let me know in the comments what you've experienced, and let me know what you think about this side of trading, because I'm interested to hear. So I hope you found this video interesting, and I will see you in the next one.